solution to every religious issue that I've faced, from people when they ask questions and stuff like that. The one solution is classes. Like this one thing, which is ilm, knowledge. It's knowledge, full stop. It's just knowledge, full stop. It's one solution. Knowledge, and of course, it comes with knowledge is practice, right? One solution, and that is what makes you reminded, or it reminds you every few days, and that is what is meant by the scholars when they say that someone who does not go for classes for 3 days in a row, or more than 3 days in a row, their heart dies. What that means is that you stop realizing. Your heart becomes hardened, like you get into the dunya and you stop realizing, the reality of your existence and of the hereafter. And every day there's a crux of the entire matter of this entire study of the end of times, of all the corruption in the world that's going on, the Dajjalic system and everything. It's really a realization, a waking up, right, to the fact of the matter that we are not created for this world. Right? We are not created for this world. We are created for a hereafter. The world is just a passage. We're getting through it, right? But because and the thing about it is that towards the end of times, right, it gets more and more intense. The fitna gets more and more intense because why? The world is coming to an end. And so you can literally see it as if Shaitan and Dajjal, they're pulling out all their shots. Like they're pulling out every single shot that they can pull out, they're pulling out. Like why? Because the world is about to end. They need to get as many people to the hellfire as possible. Right. So, I mean, and once the world ends, the entire matter has ended and is now to paradise forever or to hellfire forever. And that is the reality of the matter. Right. That is the crux of the matter, the reality of the matter. This entire existence revolves around that, around the first two, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about in the Quran between Adam and Iblis, and the path that they take, to the hereafter. Right. So mashallah, I met someone recently, right? And I was speaking to her, about this entire, because this is basically what ghafla is. Ghafla meaning heedlessness. This is why ghafla is the worst thing to afflict a human being. Like literally the worst thing to afflict a human being is ghafla. Heedlessness meaning what? Meaning being completely unaware. Why are you here in the first place? If someone is to realize, to understand deeply, just not even deeply, I would say just to realize and to admit, like, why are you here? Why are you in this world? Right? And if you can understand that, so many things automatically in your life you will remove, because all of these things are irrelevant to why you're here in this world. Right? Think about it. Concerts irrelevant, music irrelevant, movies irrelevant, right? Entertainment irrelevant. Maksiat, of course, all destructive, irrelevant. Think about it. And think about it. If someone truly understands what life of the world is about, the truth of it, you would stop doing, so much nonsense that you did that people are doing in our zaman. Right? But it's just in the root cause of everything is a heedlessness. Is a heedlessness, the complete, you know, unawareness. Complete, or maybe just what is unawareness? Would it just, like just dismissing it, or not wanting to face the reality, which does not change the reality of things, right? Allahu alam what it is, right? But it stops people from doing what they're supposed to do, from doing the work, right? To prepare for a day that you cannot escape from, the day of judgment. Right? So anyway, so we're going into أقسام العلم بعلامة الساعة, and I love this section. I mean every section of the the science of the end of times, it is subhanallah, it's a lot to say, mashallah, as you can see, right? But it is like this. I love this part, because you're seeing a knowledge that's being developed by Habib, and you're seeing how he's structuring it, and it takes a brilliant mind to do this, subhanallah. And Allah creates these brilliant minds, and Allah places brilliant minds in the service of His religion, subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I mentioned, I think another one of my classes, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not, He will not place the most brilliant minds in the service of disbelief. he will not. He will not. Like so, as brilliant as they claim all these scientists or all these businessmen or engineers or doctors, whatever they are, as brilliant as you want to claim that they are, like if you go to the ulama of Islam, they have their brilliance and their genius, right, is a billion times more. Allah will not create a brilliant mind and then place it not in the service of the religion. He will not do that, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the history of Islam has proven again and again and again that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has only ever placed right, the most brilliant minds right, in service of the religion. Alhamdulillah. Right, so the minds of the likes of Imam al-Ghazali, the likes of the minds of Imam al-Shafi'i, right? You cannot find a single individual like on outside of Islam, right, who has genius and brilliance, the level of these great imams. You cannot find, subhanAllah. And I'm not being biased about it. It's true. Right, so and that's the saddest, right? So we're on the sixth chapter, and he says here, there's تمام أقسام العلم بعلامة الساعة. I said the categories of the knowledges, right, of the signs of the day of the hour. Right, so he basically he looked at the Habib Abu Bakr, الأذن may Allah have mercy on his soul. Allahumma sayyidina Muhammad. We don't do our salawats. كده وصلة بس كده. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون بسر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكن. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون من سر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون وزر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون من سر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون من سر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون من سر الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد المأمون على العلم المضمون والفهم المكنون من ذي الكاف والنون وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا اللهم نصيبا وافرا من سر قولك إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون في كل لحظة أبدا عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. Whenever the salawat is recited, it opens up a lot, mashallah. The knowledge really opens up a lot whenever you do the slawats, and then you feel weird when you don't do the slawats. Tamam. Um, Alhamdulillah. Right, so the categories of Ramadan, this is أقطاب العلم بعلم الساعة. Right, the categories, so how he has categorized the hour. Right, so we mentioned some time ago, right, that there are different ways in which you can categorize the signs of the end of time. And one of the ways that has been done by previous scholars is the one that he's doing right now, right, which is in accordance to the time frame, right, in accordance to time frame. Right? So from what time, from when to when, and so on, like the time frame with regards to the end of time. Let me see. Okay, my stylus is somewhere else in my room. Right, but basically, if you draw a time frame, um, the signs of the end of times, right? You have the minor signs, you have the middle signs, and you have the major signs. This lesson, inshallah, is a short lesson, so I can go on to the next one, inshallah, in this lesson, in this class itself. Right. So this one is he goes from so basically majority of scholars of the past, right? They have categorized the signs of the end of times, right, into three categories. You have major, you have middle, and you have minor, right, minor signs. And inshallah, towards the end of the book, right, there is an entire section whereby we do go through, all of the major signs. There are only 10, and you memorize what they are, right? And then we go through the middle signs, a majority of them, and we go through the minor signs, which is so numerous, right? But he will mention about 39. 39 minor signs, right? So the study of the aforementioned two pillars covers all the topics relating to the knowledge of the ends of the signs of the end of times. This involves a deep study in the three categories of the signs of the day of judgment, which are knowing the major signs, middle signs, and minor signs. Okay, so right now the major signs, right, they begin with the coming of um the Mahdi. Okay, so the major signs begin, and so the major signs have begun when the Mahdi has begun. So يعرف تفصيل ذلك بالنظر في أقسام العلم بعلامة الساعة ثلاثة. القسم الأول العلم بعلامة الكبرى، والقسم الثاني العلم بعلامات الوسطى، والقسم الثالث العلم بعلامة الصغرى. So right now next to it, right, major signs from the coming of the Mahdi all the way to the blowing of the horn. There's the major signs. The major signs begin with the coming of the Mahdi. So the moment the Mahdi manifests, right, the manifestation of the Mahdi. And in fact, the Mahdi, Imam Mahdi, right, he is not someone who is found in the Quran, and in mention of him is not found in the Quran. Whilst there are those who do argue that certain verses do point to him, right, but he is mainly known from the Hadith. And from the Hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with Dajjal, right? As with Dajjal, right? So he's not mainly known, right? I think we can mute. Can we just mute everybody? Mm, This is called force, like force mute everybody. Disable unmuting. Mm, Tamam. Okay. Now, right. So with the coming of the Mahdi, so the Mahdi is mainly from the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, as to the Dajjal also from the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Without any, interpretation. And it's just like clearly in front of you in your face, that would be in the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With regards to the Mahdi, same thing as well, right? So right now next to the major signs, right? From the Mahdi till the blowing of the horn. Right? So it starts from the Mahdi and it ends with the blowing of the horn, where all of creation will cease to exist, right? All creation will die. And then write it down next to the major signs. Write it down. The space there. Write it down. The space there. Right. So from the Mahdi to the blowing of the horn. Right. So the middle signs. Are you okay? You all can do it. Or type it lah. Type it or something. Right. The next to the major signs. Right, from the Mahdi, right, to the blowing of the horn. There are 10 signs. Right, there are 10 signs which we'll go through later on. Right, the Mahdi. So a little bit about the Mahdi. Right, the Mahdi, he will be born to this world. Right, he will have the name of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in the sense his name will be Muhammad bin Abdullah. Okay, his name will be Muhammad bin Abdullah. Right, his father and mother's side both are from the lineage of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he's a direct pure descendant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He will appear first, all right? So in the chaos that's going on, right? The Mahdi. Okay, this I will speak about the Sufyani in a while, right? I don't want to confuse people first, right? But there'll be a Sufyani, right? And the Mahdi will come on, right? And he will basically fight the Sufyani, or the Sufyani will die, right? And they'll be swallowed up by the earth. Right? There's an entire story about the Sufyanis as well, right? So basically, there are two Sufyanis, right? Then they'll both be destroyed. Eventually, the Mahdi will be in their zaman. Okay, there'll be an overlap lah. There'll be an overlap. So the Mahdi will appear. Then after the Sufyanis are destroyed or they're killed, or their armies are killed, right? Then the Dajjal will appear. Right? Dajjal will appear in the land, right? And then Nabi Isa will descend. Right, so to be Mahdi, Dajjal, Nabi Isa, right, in that order. So Mahdi will appear. Then so the Mahdi, from the time he's born, he does not know that he is the Mahdi. He does not know that he is the Mahdi. Later on in his life, right, he will be the awliya, the awliya, the saints, the ulama, right, the righteous, right, scholars in Islam, they will be the ones who will identify the Mahdi, and they'll begin to pledge allegiance to him. So the true followers of the Prophet ﷺ, they'll be the ones who can find, who know who is the Mahdi, and they'll pledge allegiance to him. Nam, right? And he will ever try to flee, right, from this, he'll try to run away, right, from this, but eventually he will accept, right, that he is the Mahdi, and prepare himself, right? And then you have Dajjal coming up, right? Dajjal will go will be on this earth 40 days exactly. Like one day will be like a year, another day will be like a month, another day will be like a week, and the rest of the days will be like normal days. And he will go to every single corner of this earth, like Dajjal, and you pull his followers, which would be the majority of human beings on the earth, and the majority of the followers of Dajjal are women, and the majority of the followers of Dajjal are Jews, right? As I always mentioned before, right? I mean, a hadith, right? And Allah Alam, of course, the Zionists that we know of today, the Zionists, right? They are the worshippers of Dajjal, and so they are waiting for the Dajjal to come, right? They are waiting for their master lah, their master, the Dajjal to come, the Zionists, right? In our zaman. And this is all, you can look it up, and we can read up about it, you can know about it, right? It's all is known. They know it. They know that they will be, they're looking out for the Antichrist. They're looking for the Dajjal, because the Dajjal is the one who has given them, you know, who has given them their wealth and their popularity and their position or whatsoever. We're in a zaman, right, whereby the Zionists are so they're so in your face. They don't care. They will say they'll do their own, rituals and their own Dajjalic, rituals and the shaitanic rituals, in front of everyone to watch and to see, right, worldwide. Right? Many of these are celebrities, right? There are many celebrities, singers, even actors, politicians, right? They're all in the slavehood, like of Dajjal, in the shayateen. It's a fact. I'm not saying it. It's a fact. The fact. Right? There's slaves. They're slaves to the shaitanic system, and that's how they get their popularity up. Many of them. Right? Someone told me that there's going to be a concert in Singapore, I think before Ramadan, a Taylor Swift concert. If anyone here, if you are even thinking of going there, or if you know any of your friends who's who's even thinking of going to Taylor Swift concert in Singapore, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Can you, like, subhanallah, I don't know how do we, convince people to stop it. Right? Please, please stop it. Right? If you're still listening to people like that, like Taylor Swift, she's one of those people, she's one of the many. Like Britney Spears, Madonna, all of these people, their names, you know their names, because we live in this world. Right? So we live in this world is like you don't want to know, but you know about these people. There are people who have sold their souls to the devil. Right? So stay away from their stuff, from their music, from their whatever they produce. Stay away. Anyone who shoots up to fame all of a sudden, right? These are all signs of people who are worshippers of Shaitan and Dajjal. Right? It's all signs. It's all signs. Anyone who shoots up to fame all of a sudden, and not like, they are righteous, like Habaib and Mashaykh. It's subhanAllah. Be just open up your eyes lah. Like, open up your eyes. Just open up your eyes. And stop it. Seriously, stop it. I think to put up a new video soon about just to warn people about music. The entire music industry is you say a major, spell cast by the Dajjal on the world, the entire music entertainment industry, the whole thing, right? So stay away from it, and it's just stop. Just stop it. If you have it in your life still, just stop it. Seriously. Now, right, the middle signs. And I really, I was talking to someone who was talking about it, and then I was like what is good about it? Honestly, like, I don't know. What is so great about music that people can't stop it? What's so great about it? I'm going to find out about what from people, like what's so great about it? You just can't stop. It sounds nice, and halas, that's all. I mean, like, really, people spending how much do they spend on concerts? I don't know. They spend hundreds, right? Hundreds. To do what? Subhanallah. Really, subhanallah. Like this is what it means by the mind has been taken away. There's no mind, it's a mindlessness. Right? You spend hundreds of dollars right now. One's responding to me, but this hundreds of dollars right now. To do what? What do they do in concerts? Do they squeeze themselves and what listen to music that they have heard probably a billion times before. The same music, right? That they play. Allahu Alam. How come today no one's responding to me? No one talking to me, no one responding to me. It's no very quiet classroom today. Um, tamam. Uh, Allahu Alam. It's just, no, it's destroying the souls. There's no healing in songs. Songs just destroy your souls. And I've not listened to songs, but any Allahu Alam. I mean, songs by people who dress in that way and they dance in that way. Like everything around it is all foul. Right? I don't see a single thing positive about it. The whole thing is foul. Right? The entire thing. So, like how would it be healing? It just speaks about if I mean it speaks about heartbreak, speaks about longing, speaks about love, speaks about whatever. Um, the only healing, of course we know, and the only healing is with our adhkar and our Quran is the only thing we know. But the thing is that is the whole thing is that how do we preach it? Like, how do we tell people? Like, how do people be convinced and understand? They taste it themselves, right? They will taste it themselves when you come to this side of spirituality. This is the only place you can find healing. Nowhere else. There's nowhere else on this earth you can find healing. Yeah, so drowning out the thoughts is not healing. It's just it's like a drug. Right? Music's like a drug. It's literally a drug, right? You're getting drugged. Yeah, you're getting drugged. It's basically that. Like it's a drug, right? It's not healing. There's nothing positive about it. It's just addiction. And the scary thing about it is that yeah, like it hooks you. It hooks you. So when the gel comes along, that's the fruits of the gel, right? The fruits of the gel. And so those who've been, addicted to these flutes, they can't break away. They cannot. They will like the pipe piper, like the one the way he blows his flutes, like and all of the Dajjalic those people who are addicted right, to his flute, right, will follow him. Wala hawla wala quwwata so anyway, of the major signs, Nabi Isa, then Nabi Isa kills the Dajjal, the Mahdi, then Nabi Isa rules, and inshallah, the chapter's coming on the major signs is coming on in a while, right? So then when I get to the chapter, I'll just go through some of it, right, on the surface, right? Inshallah, in the future, in another book, Tariq al-Tarif, I will be going through it in detail. Okay, about this major signs. Tamam. Okay, the middle signs, they begin, right down. The middle signs begin with the bi'atha, right, the bi'atha of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What is bi'atha? Right, bi'atha basically the revelation, right? The first revelation of the Prophet unto the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right, it begins with that, right? And it ends with the coming of the Sufyani. Right, Sufyani 1 and Sufyani 2. Right. So that is basically what we're waiting for right now. And the Bi'atha of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So revelation. Not from his birth, but from the first revelation, Iqra, from Iqra. Right. And it ends with the coming of the two Sufyanis, right? So there will be an overlap. There'll be an overlap of this of the Sufyanis and the Mahdi, right? Because the Sufyanis will exist and then the Mahdi will come. Right, the two Sufyani armies. So there's Sufyani 1 and Sufyani 2. And you speak about who the Sufyanis are. We are awaiting, not awaiting lah, but the next thing that is going to come up right now where we're at are the Sufyanis. And the Sufyani armies will appear. Okay, then the minor signs came with the sending down Nabi Adam alayhi salam right, onto the earth, and it ends with the death of Iblis. Right, sending of Nabi Adam alayhi salam onto the earth, and it ends with the death of Iblis. The minor signs are so many, right? And they basically, go around corruption. Right? They speak more about corruption, right, in that way. Right? So Alhamdulillah, I think I've gone through this chapter quite a bit, I think, in the past. Right. So right now, we're going to go into the next chapter, inshallah. And so these categories will be the body and the contents of fiqh tahulat. So basically, our entire discussion, on fiqh tahulat will be on this. Mm. Right, so the next chapter, there's a sabi', right? So the definition of it. So here, so unlike most books, right? When you come into a book, right, you go straight into the definition of the knowledge that you are taking, right? Straight away, right? You go into the definition of the knowledge that you are taking, right? So but for Habib Abu Bakr, because now he's so new, he has to go into, like you said, tashjir. Right? Tashjir in Arabic, like to encourage people to learn this. Right? So you can see the entire way we teach fiqh tahawulat, that we do go through the first few lessons of just really, sparking up people's interests, right, in this, because it's so important. But think about it is that this knowledge can be very, it takes a lot of thinking. Right? It does call on you, right? To think, right? To think deeply, on a lot of things that are going on around you. And that is necessary as a Muslim. You can't live life not wanting to think, right? We are the ummah of Iqra. And Habib Abu Bakr Ali always says so many times, we are the ummah of Iqra wala naqra. Right? He said that, we are the ummah of Iqra. That the first thing I was sent to us was Iqra, read. But we don't read. We don't think. We don't want to know. Right? SubhanAllah, we have become from an ummah of knowledge to an ummah of ignorance. Right? So that is the biggest problem of our ummah, that we've gone into a mindlessness and attainment. The entire world, basically, the entire world has gone into not using their brains anymore. Right. And that's why we just mentioned about the entire music and entertainment industry. For someone to spend hundreds of dollars to go to a place where you're just squeezed out with other human beings, and to sing and to chant and to watch someone on stage singing something you heard them sing so many times, to spend hundreds of dollars doing that, where's the intellect? Seriously, where's the intellect?
Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. Where's the intellect? Right? There is no intellect. There is no intellect. When we extend that, people going to a stadium, watching football, right? And just watching men play with a ball, and spending how much? And they freak out when they go crazy, ecstatic when they get the first seats to watch people play football. Like, where's the intellect? Where has our intellect gone? Where are our brains? SubhanAllah. I mean, you put it in context, SubhanAllah, in the same world where you have hundreds and thousands of people who are starving from not having enough. You have this idiotic behavior in human beings, spending ridiculous amounts of money on nothing, and nothing of worth, right? This is really what it is, Yani. The fact of the matter. And it's sad lah. It's sad. Right. And I don't know how our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's seeing his ummah from his grave right now. Right? How is he seeing his ummah? This is something that he never taught us. He never showed in his life. Right? How from his grave is he seeing the ummah with this kind of extravagance on one extreme, and then a kind of suffering on the other extreme, in on the same earth we walk on. Subhanallah. And I've been talking about the non-Muslims, talking about the Muslims. Okay, so fiqh tahawulat, as I mentioned, that it is a science, right, that requires a lot. As you can, I hope you can see by now, it does call on the intellect a lot, right? It requires for you to think deeply and to understand. And I know some people, they'll say, "Oh, my brain hurts after this," right? Subhanallah, we need to get ourselves used to thinking again. Come on, come on, Muslims, come on, right? We need to get ourselves thinking again, right? And unfortunately, our universities don't make us think, unfortunately, right? But Subhanallah, the religion pulls us into thinking. The Quran makes us think. The Quran, it forces us into. If you really want to experience the Quran fully, you got to go into thinking. You got to use that brain of yours, in your head. And may Allah give us understanding and ability. And Allah has given us intellect, right? We can't deny that. Allah has given us intellect, right? And intellect is a blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Is a responsibility. You will be questioned on your intellect. is one of the things Allah has given you, as He will question you on your money, on your wealth. He has questioned you on your He will question you on your time. He will question you on your intellect. That intellect that Allah gave you, what have you used it for? Right, subhanallah. Right, so الدرس السابع. Right, تعريف التحولات. يطلق مسمى في التحولات على جملة النصوص القرآنية والحديثية الخاصة بعلم بعلامة الساعة وأشراطها. وتعريفه. So first and foremost, the term fiqh of transitions or fiqh التحولات, it refers to a group of Quranic and prophetic texts. So specifically, it only comes from Quran and Hadith, right? Specifically, it must get and can only come from Quran and Hadith because why? Because this the Quran, because it speaks about the future, right? So you can't know anything about the future except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the sources for fiqh tahawulat strictly come from Quran and Hadith only, strictly, right? Because no one else can tell you conclusively of what's going to happen in the future. That discusses the importance of the science, right, and the science of the day of judgment. So now we're going to go into definition, and we're gonna kind of like dissect, or open up the definition of the word fiqh of transitions. Right? So now we're going to define our knowledge. We're going to define this knowledge after 6 lessons. The seventh lesson he goes in definition, right? And as I mentioned, it's because this knowledge is heavy. I'm not going to deny it, right? And it has to be heavy. It has to. So we're going to speak about corruption. We're going to speak about fitna. We're going to speak about, destruction of aqidah and iman and sharia. Speak about the end of the world. Of course, it has to be heavy. Of course, you're not looking for something light. Okay, it's not storytelling, but it's reality. It's going to happen. It's coming up. It's not something. We're not speaking about something in the past we're trying to analyze. No, we're going to speak about things in the future that we're trying to get through. And pray that our descendants get through this. Subhanallah. So it necessarily has to be heavy, necessarily. When you come to these classes, I hope you guys brace yourself. I brace yourself, open up your heart, ask Allah for understanding. So we do this lawas in the beginning, right? To really get yourself to understand this, right? And because why? You have to deliver this. You have to deliver this knowledge to the next generation. It's an amana, it's a responsibility. Every generation took this knowledge and delivered to the following the generation. So right now what Abu Bakr Adini has done is he's made it, accessible to the masses, right? So the masses now everyone can take this knowledge. In the past, it used to be the scholars only, who really understood this knowledge, right? And while the masses, those who copy the scholars, they be saved, and but those who majority of them are clueless about this knowledge. So alhamdulillah, he's opening up this knowledge, writing it down, explaining it, he's classifying it, compartmentalizing it, so that the common person, right, the common Muslim, the masses, right, we can assess this knowledge and understand it because right now every single one of us needs to know this, right, and to teach our next generation and them to teach the generation and to whoever, right, who will see these things happening in their lifetime. Hopefully not us. With the next generation, and hopefully not us seeing this. Allah, only just seeing what's going on in Palestine is just in Sudan, and so just seeing what's going on in the world, and it's just so. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. تمام. تعريفه هو فهم شرعي. Right, so فهم شرعي, first thing. The definition of fiqh, I'm going to explain word by word, okay? So the definition of fiqh of transition. So it is a study, it's a formal study. This entire class is a proper class. It's not something you want to hear, by the way. And it's a proper class, proper study. I hope you're sitting on the desk and write down notes. Right, literally I'm doing a diploma and degree on this, right? So it's proper study. It's proper study. I hope I'm not scaring away anybody. Right, stay with the class. Don't go away. Right. So Habib he began the entire first 6 chapters raising, the interest of people and to highlight to them the importance of this knowledge. So only on lesson 7, then he began with definition. Whereas in most books, you define your knowledge from the beginning. Right? But for him, he didn't, right? Because it's so new, right, to so many people, that you wanna impress upon them the importance of this, right? First, right? Then you go into definition. So first thing It is the Islamic understanding. Okay, highlight that Islamic understanding. هو فهم الشرعي, right? So which means that what does it mean by فهم الشرعي? Islamic understanding. It is that. So write it down. The meaning of the first part. So point number one, Islamic understanding. Right? Just footnote at the corner at the side. Right? It means that to see every event or occurrence or incident in this world, right? To look at every event or occurrence or incident in this entire world and to understand it, right? To understand all these events, occurrences, incidences, right? From the view of the religion. That is the meaning of Islamic understanding, right? So when you see COVID, you look at it from the view of Islam. When you see earthquakes, look at the view of Islam. When you see a tsunami, view of Islam. When you see, wars happening from the view of Islam, right? When you see injustice, look at it from the view from the Islamic understanding. What does Islam say about these things? Right? What can I understand from the Islamic point of view about these things? And because why? Because our entire purpose on this earth is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this dunya is a test, and you will see the results of it in the hereafter. So necessarily, every event in this world is connected to the entire purpose of this existence. Necessarily so, don't you think? Like, wouldn't you think that? Like, why would random stuff happen that has nothing to do with the hereafter? That will not happen. Right? That will not be. Allah created this entire world, right, to as a test, as a stage, right, for us to prepare for our hereafter. Subhanallah. Right. So that is the first thing in Islamic understanding. Let me give you an example. Right. So when you see, eclipses, okay, eclipses. So when you see eclipses, right, the world would teach us, and the world will teach us the science behind an eclipse. People get excited, don't want to see an eclipse whatsoever. No. Okay, the Islamic understanding is, let's look at our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like, he is the one who will demonstrate to us how do you understand these, these phenomena, right, on a like in nature and natural phenomena, like from an Islamic understanding. So he taught us that the moment and be amazed and be wowed, and try and take a nice shot of it, try and take a nice picture of it. Like, you don't do that, right? What do? In the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? That you rush, right, to perform your wudu, you rush to the prayer, right? And you perform you perform long prayers. That's a sunnah of the eclipse prayer, to have the prayer lengthened, right? The prayer lengthened, right? So we know that the eclipse prayer is to ruku, to standing and to ruku and so on and so forth. So that is what we understand by Islamic understanding. So the worldly understanding of an eclipse is, oh, nice signs, it's a nice phenomena in the, in the universe, right? It is something interesting whereby the sun and the moon, the earth line up, right? That's what an eclipse is, right? Solar eclipse, whereby the moon lines up between the sun and the earth. And then you have the lunar eclipse, whereby the earth lines up between the sun and the moon. This is basically it. The science tells us. And that basically waters it down. It waters it down. It just makes it something scientific. It's just it's like the moon and the earth and the sun is lining up. That's what it is. Right? And people kind of like, you don't take it seriously. Whereas Rasulullah knows that these are signs the earth, the world's coming to an end. So as eclipses become more and more frequent, these are like, like alarm bells ringing in the cosmos, right, for the believer or the believing heart or the heart that is awake, right, to wake up, right, and to understand that the world is coming to an end. Right? Allah is giving you, alarm bells. The alarm bells, they are natural alarm bells that Allah has placed, in His creation. And the Prophet informed us, right, that towards the end of time, eclipse will be very, very, very frequent. And in our own lifetime, we saw that. In our own lifetime, we saw that. I mean, when I was a child, an eclipse could occur maybe like once every few years. And now in 1 year, several eclipses occur, right? Allah's giving us alarm bells. Like the world is coming to an end very soon. And so many in 1 year, it will come to a point about in 1 month. You have several eclipses happening, almost every single day eclipse. And it will come to that point, eclipse, eclipse. So people get so used to eclipse, they become numb. They become numb. But how is it possible? Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa. You just Allah, the all powerful, is doing it. Right? If you can see that eclipse is Allah, the all powerful, doing it, it will not even occur to you how will it happen. Who does it in the first place? Allah. Allah. If Allah wants to have an eclipse happen every single day, can He? Absolutely. Right? He can do it every single day if He wants to. I mean, why not? And the science said no, not possible. Allah will show them. Allah will show them. Right now, I mean, we know in the hadith that the sun will rise from the west. Science will say not possible. Right? Hadith says will happen. Right? Will happen. Sun will rise from the west. Will happen. And in fact, the hadith goes, it will set and come up from where it set, from where it sets. Like it will it will go below the horizon and it will appear above the horizon from the same point that it went below. How? I don't know. Right, but Allah will do it. Not it's not our it's not for us to do anything. We never did anything in the first place anyway. We never moved the sun on the moon. Right? Allah has been moving it all the while. Right? It's not us who's been moving it. Right? All we do is we see it happening and go into like an amazement in science from science, right? And reduce it. It's a reduction. Right? We reduce it now in our ta'zeem, in the exaltation of it. So the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the earth, the world is coming to an end. That's what I mean by Islamic understanding. Same thing when you see more and more earthquakes will happen. Another hadith, right, towards the end of times. And I'm right now I'm focusing on one type of knowledge of the end of times. The end of times has five different types of knowledges. And inshallah is coming up. Right. And this was something I really love what Habib Qadi has done. It's genius that he has compartmentalized all the signs of the end of times into five different studies. And so one of the studies is global phenomena, right? Global phenomena is one of the studies. Another one studies will be corruption and destructions, right? Things that will remove Islam from the hearts of from society from societies and from the hearts of people. And another study is inventions. Inventions, that inventions and technology. Then a third and a fourth study is linking the religion to history. Right. These are all the studies that we will learn. Inshallah is coming up. Inshallah is coming up. Right. And the last one is warnings and good news and forms of uh, uh, uh pro- forms of immunity that given to us by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is also a study. It's ingenious, guys. It's really ingenious how he has compartmentalized all of the science that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has left us with so many. Right? So he broke them down. He basically he grouped them into five different types of knowledges. And from there, if with structured study, you will understand them and you'll be able to apply them, correctly. That is the whole point of structured knowledge so that you can consume it in a you say in a tertib and in a structured manner, right, step by step. And then when you do that, you know how to apply it, right, in that way, inshallah. Right, so let me give you an example. I'm going to go through of the five different knowledges. Maybe I'll take one or two from each of them, or one from each of them, right, for us to understand. So for example, we see in the global phenomena, right, okay, earthquakes, right? Earthquakes increasing, right? In its frequency. And it's something that will happen to the end of time. Right? Earthquakes will increase in their frequency. Right. So science, I don't know, that's what I heard from my teacher, that they have said that, oh, it's because human beings have consumed so much gas and so much, oil from the earth beneath the crust, right, that is causing major disruptions, or just basically, vacuums, right, in the crust of the earth because of our major consumption, of all this, gas and oil, that's causing all this, disruptions in the crust and causing for the plates, right, to be triggered and causing for more earthquakes. Okay, that's from the part of geography. Okay, geography, science, they're going that way. And as we can see, it's basically they're just watering things down into, oh, this happens, and therefore this happens, so therefore we are seeing what you're seeing, right? And like in a sense, like there's no more, like as if removing that God's doing it, as if doing that, right? It's all scientifically explained, yani. So halas is just a phenomena. Don't think so much about it. No, right? Rasulullah SAW said towards the end of time, there'll be an increase in the frequency of earthquakes. So the increase in the frequency of earthquake from an Islamic understanding is all again alarm bells that the end of time is near. The alarm bells. Allah sends us alarm bells, right? So MashaAllah, and what we're seeing right now in Palestine is also another alarm bell that this righteous, so many righteous people are being killed off, killed off, killed off in the thousands, right? And never have your view, stray away from Sham. Right? Sham is where the showdown will happen. I always look at Sham, see what's going to happen in Sham, right? Sham includes Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, right? That's where Sham is, right? So look there. I look there. That's where the main showdown happens between Nabi Isa and Dajjal and Mahdi, that area, right? But but if it's happening just there, then what about the rest of us in the rest of the world? Everyone with regards to their attachments will be involved. So those who look at Dajjal and what Dajjal is doing and they admire, right, and they support. So right now, worldwide, what's going? So let me give you an example of Palestine. What's going in Palestine? And people are suffering. There are people there who are fighting against the oppressors, and you have the oppressors, right? Rest of us in the world, we're not directly involved, in a sense. You're not there on battlefield fighting. Nor are you there on battlefield on they're shooting innocents, right? We're not directly involved, but the world is split, isn't it? The world is split, right? And those who support the oppressors, they are oppressors themselves. And those who support, even if they were to just post and say, I support the oppressor, right? They are the oppressor. They are the oppressor. Right? Those who support oppressors are oppressors, right? And those who support the oppressed, in a sense, you stand with the oppressed, right? Then you're going against the oppressor. And that's understood in Islam. So and this is basically a glimpse of how the end of time is going to be, right? That you're going to find the Dajjal, you're going to find, and there'll be those who will be with him. There'll be those who will go there to Sham and be with him. And there'll be those who will go there to the Mahdi and Nabi Isa and be with him. There'll be those. The rest of the world will be where we're at, wherever we're at in Singapore, where we're at, right? Then whatever you carry in your heart, and whatever you carry in your heart, and you will be of that side of the army, what you carry in your heart. And don't be so sure that you're going to carry in your heart a love for Nabi Isa and the Mahdi. While it's so, you say, isn't it natural to just love Nabi Isa and the Mahdi as a Muslim? Well, if you've been loving Dajjalic content, you've been loving Dajjalic music, you've been loving Dajjalic, everything Dajjalic, from his entire culture of Dajjal, how sure are you that when he manifests that you can't that you can hate him? How sure are you, right? Those who are neutral with the oppressors. If I see in front of myself right now, someone hurting someone else, if I say I don't care, I'm indifferent, you are an oppressor by being indifferent. You are an oppressor. Why? Because our religion calls us to stand up, right? And stop the oppressor from their oppression and to help the oppressed. So you cannot be in this world and say, I don't care. I don't care doesn't care in this world. I don't care means you allow the oppression. And how do we know this? From the Quran. The Quran, Allah speaks about three groups of people. Right? The people by the sea, right? Allah gave the Bani Israel. Right? Allah gave a law. No, no fishing on the Sabbath. They were not allowed to fish on the Sabbath. There were those who were the sinners. They fished. And there were those who spoke clearly against the sinners and said that you're not allowed to fish. And they spoke up. They spoke up. And there were those who kept silent. Allah punished the ones who sinned and the ones who kept silent. Allah punished both. And the only ones who were saved were those who actually spoke up against it. right? Those who spoke up against it. And those who kept silent, they actually, in the Quran, Allah quotes them, they actually question those who speak up against it. And they said, why do you care to speak up against these people who are sinners? Why do you care? And those who speak up against the sinners, they say that, well, for this to be a proof for us in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we did something, or day of judgment, we can say we did something. So a proof for us in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and maybe they'll listen. Like maybe they'll listen. Keeping quiet, confirm, for sure they will not listen because you're quiet, right? If you say something, if you think that they're not going to listen, you're still saying it. You did what you can, right? So people are saying, what's the point of all these demonstrations all over the world? It's just saying something. It's saying we're not going to keep quiet. We're going to say it. We're going to speak about it. That's the whole point, right? Don't just be there. Be silent. You're not doing anything. And that's why we're boycotting. That's why we're trying whatever we can in our hands. On the day of judgment, you'll be questioned. That's why. So on the day towards the end of time, it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. The main war is going to happen in Sham. It's going to be there in Sham. Rest of the world will be involved. The rest of the world will be involved by their hearts. Okay? By your hearts, you're going to be involved. Right? SubhanAllah. And in fact, there's a hadith of Rasulullah where he said that whoever has a liking for the murder of Uthman, Sayyidina Uthman, and whoever has a liking for the assassination or the murder of Sayyidina Uthman, then he will be with the army of Dajjal, even when he is in his grave. So from that hadith, we understand that you will be that a person can be with the Dajjal or can be with Mahdi and Nabi Isa, even if you don't live in the Zaman, even if you're not in the Zaman, by what you carry in your heart. Get it? Right? So you get it. Right? So that's why, we're in this Zaman whereby people is consuming Dajjalic material and loving it. Loving it. If they die like this, Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam. How many times has music stopped a person from saying the Shahada at the point of death? So many of this music stops people from singing the Shahada at the point of death. Right? So, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. People are not waking up. Don't know what else to say. You don't know what else to say, literally. Subhanallah. Right, so it's an Islamic understanding. I so understand it. So for example, if I were to see al-mustajadat, which means inventions, right? So I look around me and I see inventions. Okay. So people might say, oh, cool, look at that, cool, look at this, cool. As a Muslim, I don't do that. I don't do that. But I look at what my Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has spoken about. I go back to him Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and I see what did he say? What has he spoken about? Right. So for example, in the latest thing right now, right? AI. People are using AI for Islamic material, right? Of course, AI is an extension of what's on the net in the first place, but it's just that now it's become way more in your face. But people are using all this technology, and they're mixing Islam into it, right? Or AI being right now being made to Muhammad, right, being made to make a deceased person come back, right? They do an AI thing where you can FaceTime someone who's died, and the AI imitates that person, even in character, they can imitate. So you feel as if you're speaking, right, to that relative of yours, as if you're doing a FaceTime. Subhanallah. So people might think this is all is good for to help them cope with their grief. It is a good thing and whatever. You know what? We look at these things from the view of Islam. So for example, there are hadiths of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right, whereby it is said that towards the end of time, right, the parents of an individual will come back from the grave and they would tell their descendants to follow the Dajjal because he is correct. They will inform them of that. So we don't know how this will manifest. In the past, the scholars will say probably jinn, right? Jinn will appear and jinn will tell the descendants in the form of the parents of these people, that for the Dajjal, it could be jinn appearing in front of us, right? And it could very well be jinn, but disguised in technology. to tell you, oh, this hologram is, or this, they tell you the jinn is a hologram. Because we see someone is a ghost, it's a spirit, it's a soul. People be like, what? They won't be accepting of it, right? People won't accept jinn appearing in front of them. But if you say hologram, 3D billboard, how does this work?
I don't know.
I've seen them online, these 3D billboards. Wow, how do they work? This is so scary.
I still don't
Right,
know how the
but
Barbie thing works.
how I don't know how the Barbie thing works. Right, but basically, like, so you see how this could possibly happen, right? So when we look at this advances in technology, we're seeing this. Right? We're seeing this. We're seeing from the view of Islam. Okay, from the view of Islam. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Tamam. Right. So al-fahm, the word fahm, fahman. And there are two types of understandings, right, in this world, in this whole world. Two types of understandings. First type of understanding, الشرعي أي من القرآن والأحاديث. So the first type of understanding, so الفهم فهمان. Right? So understanding has two types. First type is Islamic, right, شرعي, right, from the Sharia, and that comes from the guidance or light of the Quran and the Hadith. Right, the Quran of Rasulullah, the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right there. And I hope you all taking notes, eh? You're not seeing any notes on the page, but never mind. It's okay, Amira. Right, but I hope you all in your own book you're writing notes. And the other faham, right, is وضعي أي من الأقل. Is she writing?
She's moving, she's moving.
She's moving. Never mind, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna pressure. But I hope you're writing on your own notes. The second. So understanding is number one, number two, eh? So number two is وضعي أي من الأقل. Right? So understanding that is invented. Right? وضعي meaning invented. Right? And that comes from the mind. Right? So when you understand something, you can understand it in two ways. Understand it from the Quran, from the lights and the guidance of the Quran and Sunnah. And that is what is on Muslims to do. Right? And the other type is from your own, in Malaysia, your own kepala otak. Your own mind lah, your own mind, basically, in Malay you say it. Anyway, from your own brain, from your own brain. Okay? And that is subject to what? To your limitations, obviously, right? And from your own brain, number two is your own brain. From your own your own brain. Don't type the Malay one. Right? From your own mind or from your own brain. Right? So you seeing things around you, limited. Right? Limited is also tainted with your own desires, your own shahawat, right? Your own even from your own experience in life. Right? So someone who went through a beautiful marriage, when they speak about marriage, oh, they will go on and on about how great marriage is. And someone went through a terrible marriage. When they speak about marriage, they will go on about how you should save yourself from such a terrible thing, right? Everyone speaks according to, from when you from your own brain, your own mind, is limited. First and foremost, the amount of knowledge that you have is very limited. Secondly, is influence, is tainted. I think by what? By your shahwa, by your nafs, what you want, right? And also by your experience in life, right? So how you view things, and even like, even for me as I teach, I know a lot of stuff that I see is from my own experience, right? So and I can't divorce myself from that. I cannot, right? Because it's not possible, right? So whatever I present to someone, I know necessarily, inevitably, it will have, elements of my own experience in life, right? And my own mentality and my own understanding. And I can't stop it. I can't even stop it. Right. But if I want to be, like for example, law of Islam, right? Sharia, law of Islam, then okay, I don't use my brain, I don't use my mind, but I just go to the Nas, to Quran and Hadith. That's the law, right? Quran says this, Hadith says that. That's the law, right? So you don't bring in your personal opinion, on these matters, and there's no space for personal opinion on matters whether the Sharia has been clear, on. Tamam. Okay, the word faham, right, it means idrak al-maqsood, murattaban ala al-ilm, right? So basically the word understanding means to know something, right, based on knowledge, right? So do something based on knowledge. And so fiqh tahawulat, it is always, always, always connected to knowledge, especially the knowledge of ihsan, right? The deeper understanding in a human being, the spiritual side of Islam, especially, right? في التحول especially goes there because there is where the attacks will come in first. So the word of the changes, right? The word changes here, and we're going to the next part. So of the changes, right? So changes here, التحول التحولات وفهم الشرعي لما جرى ويجري من سنن التغيرات ومتغيرات في الحياة الإنسانية والكونية وما طرأ ويطرأ من مستجدات العلم النظري وتطبيقي. Right, so here, right, there's nothing about changes that will happen and still happen in the cosmos, in the life of humanity. Right, so changes here, right, is outward and inward changes. All right, so outward and inward changes. So in the cosmos refers to nature that is beyond the influence of human beings, right? Cosmos, right? So in the cosmos will be something that is out of our hands. So are we causing for eclipses to happen more frequently? No, we're not doing it. Nothing in our pollution of the earth, destruction of the earth, is causing the eclipses, right? We're not the ones who's causing it. Like Allah's the one who's making it happen, right? Unless they find some scientific reason why it is more eclipses nowadays because of maybe our own, gadgets whatsoever, which I doubt. Right, because what we are is an infraction is compared to the size of the moon and the earth and the sun, right? So the movements of these celestial beings or bodies of one, these celestial bodies, cannot possibly be influenced by the human being, right? So when we say changes in the cosmos, beyond human control or beyond human influence, right? Beyond, not, I won't say control because Allah controls everything, but beyond human influence. Because when we speak about changes in the life of humanity, yes, that is you can blame the human being. You can blame us, right? So changes in the life of humanity, right? So the entire destruction of the earth, right? The mass production of foods, right? Sugar in everything that we consume. The entire gene, GMO foods. All of this you can blame the human being. Yes, you can blame the human being. So there are changes, on a global scale, right? Or you see on a celestial scale, right? That will be from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Nothing to do with us. We are not involved, right? As human beings, and there are changes, right? That yes, the human being is completely at fault. It is them who's doing all this stuff, right? They're the ones who's building all these high buildings. They're the ones who's destroying the earth. They're the ones who's causing global warming. They're the ones who's and so on and so forth, right? So for example, if a meteor strikes, could happen. If a meteor strikes the Earth, nothing of our doing. We didn't cause for that, right? Like, but if the ice caps melt, and entire global changes in climate, oh yes, it's all our fault. It's all our fault. It's our own obsession, our own greed, our own destruction, our own wastefulness, our own everything. Lah. It's all us. It's all us. So you can understand. So the changes happen in two ways, right? One way whereby without human influence, the other one is, yes, human beings are involved and to be blamed, right, in fact, right, to be blamed for what's happening. And they're not stopping it. Human beings, they couldn't get us. You think about it, and the entire environmental movement. Just think about it. The entire environmental movement. Like individuals are trying our best, and we're trying our best to recycle, trying our best to reduce, trying our best. Inshallah, we're trying our best, right, to stop, destroying the earth. Um, but think about it. The best way to stop destroying the earth is from the government. Governments stop allowing for companies to produce plastics. Full stop. And in fact, if you go into industry, if you go into research, they have developed many alternative materials to plastic. They have, and they've been doing so for the past how many years? If you just go into research, they've been developing biodegradable materials that imitate plastic and they are biodegradable. Why are the governments not pumping money in there? Why are they still insisting on this plastic to destroy the environment? So you see, a lot of these environmental things, it's all the governments are in charge. Some countries they do step up and they ban plastics. There are countries in the world that do that, and there are countries in the world that just make you pay more for plastic. I do, but why can't they just don't offer it? Don't produce, stop producing it, right? Just stop producing it. Put all your money into producing other things, other forms of, materials. Why not? They can't because their money is on it, right? And their entire economy is on it, right? So they don't want to. They don't want to stop it. So it's a lot of, things going on. You can speak of it in that way, right? So similarly, the destruction of wildlife and so on, a lot of things you will see that once the governments get involved, then you can see changes and people stopping, right, the destruction of the earth. Right? But when governments don't get involved, you can try doing it on your own level, as individuals, but it will not be as impactful as when a government puts in a policy, right? That they will change certain things in the country or in the society in that way. Tamam. تمام right so التغيرات right التغيرات right في الإنسان في ذاته أو سلوكه أو ثقافة right so there are two words here right in Arabic you have تغيرات and you have متغيرات you can see the two words right في سنن التغيرات they will speak about specific human beings right and المتغيرات speaks about في الكون في الكون والجو والعالم right? So there'll be in the cosmos يعني. Right? So there'll be a change right? التحول الزماني من حال إلى الحال والفكر إلى الفكر right? So here so let me just go to the Arabic again لما جرى ويجري of what has happened right? So we will study with some understanding of changes that have happened so we will be studying things in the past right? So we will be studying from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what happened with the Sahaba. These are all parts of the study of fiqh tahawulat, which inshallah I'll try my best to go through slowly when we do reach there. Not now, but in the future, inshallah. So you can understand what exactly happened in the time of the Sahaba and to see how the Sahaba applied this knowledge and how this would reach later on, right? After to our time, and also to study what has happened, of industrialization, of globalization, of secularism, even of the colonialism happening throughout the earth, of the World Wars One and Two, right? All of these are major events that have happened in the history of human beings, and unfortunately, they went past us Muslims without us really analyzing what really happened to us. Because all of these things are basically attacks right, against the truth, which is Islam. Right? But so never for a moment think that the religion is divorced from history. No, right? Events in this world it has everything to do with our religion. Everything right? So when the colonists came over the world, right, there is an Islamic understanding of what they are trying to do, of what they were not looking for resources. No, they were not. They seemed to be, but they were not. And they were doing a lot of destruction over the world. They were destroying certain things, right? When you look at World War One, World War Two, I can see that there was a goal behind it. Right? They were aiming for something, which basically was to acquire Palestine right? That brought them there thereafter, right? You can see that the entire stages, of how they planned things and whatsoever, right? So tamam. So what has happened? There will be a study of that because to understand what's going on right now, you need to know what has happened in the past. As to know what's going on right now, you must know what has happened in the past and still happen in the cosmos, right? What will still happen? What is going on? What is going on right now, right? All the beyond our control and within our influence. And the development of theoretical and applied sciences. Right? So they said, وَمَا طَرَأَ وَيَتَرَأُ وَمَا طَرَأَ وَيَتَرَأُ what will come in and what will be applied to us in science and culture, as well as the incidents and tribulations that have occurred, right, and will occur in different stages of human history, right, in general, right. So we'll go back into history and study what has happened until our zaman, then go forward in the future to see what is to happen, so we can anticipate right? These things happening, and when it does happen, because you cannot predict, you can't predict these things happening when, but when they do happen, you have to be ready to know how to respond. And it is the entire science at the end of time. So don't let these things hit you and you're blur. So can you imagine, for example, can you imagine that when um colonialism when the colonists came all over the world, right? The colonialists came all over the world. Right? So when the colonialists came all over the world, if the Muslims were aware as to what they're trying to do to the Muslim lands, right? The leaders back then would not have allowed at all for these people to come in at all. But then again, a lot of the all of these colonialists, like they use brute force. They use brute force and they killed, basically they killed the locals that they found in the lands that they came to. Right? A lot of them, they love a lot of very bloody history behind this colonialism that happened worldwide. Right? It's very ugly. It's very ugly. Right? If you go into the entire history of it, right, they are the real terrorists. Right? They have been terrorists. This group of people have been terrorists for a long time. I mean, if you they went to the Americas, they went to India, they went to Asia, they went to Africa, they destroyed human beings who were there and with no mercy whatsoever, just because they saw themselves to be superior. Now, if you go into the history of it, you see how ugly it is. So we study all these things from the view of the religion and what exactly happened, right? And from there you can see the entire chaining and the entire, you know, like this whole mind control that's going on from there. It will come, inshallah, in the future. We will speak about it. Okay, tamam. نعم. من المستجدات العلم النظري والتطبيقي والثقافة والحوادث والفتن في مراحل الحياة الإنسانية عموما ومراحل الأمة المحمدية خصوصا إلى قيام الساعة إما على صفة القراءة الاستباقية للحوادث وال والوقائع وإما على وإما على تمام صفة القراءة الاستقرائية لتاريخ الأمم والشعوب من مصادرها الأساسية القرآن والسنة. تمام. Right, so basically, so such understanding is derived from the perspective reading. Perspective basically is استقرائية, meaning in you go on hindsight. واستباقية will be to read into the future. Right? So your perspective is into the future, and retrospect is into hindsight, and to go backwards, of history. So to read about incidents that will happen in the future, right, and to understand the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the future, right, and then to go back into the past and to read things in retrospect, right, of history of nations and communities as depicted from our sources, the Quran and the Sunnah. This is the whole definition of this science, right? So let me just go through a few things here. So al-mustajadat, right? What is of inventions? And is something that basically they refer to, things that occur or invented at the hands of Muslims or non-Muslims, right? And they could be positive, they could be negative about their inventions, right? And then alimun nadari, right, will be theoretical knowledge. So theoretical knowledge is something that it could be true, could not be true. I think that they're theoretical. There is a level of, there's a possibility they could be not true or could be true, right? And most of the time they are not true. All of this, theoretical knowledge, right? And there is knowledge that is invented. And تطبيقي, right? Knowledge that is applied, like you say engineering, or you say, science, you say medicine, whatsoever, right? That we also go into in the science, ثقافات, right, will be, and also in culture, right? So in studying the changes in culture, right? In culture regards to dress, right? How human beings dress, right? So this is something that has changed very drastically in the past few decades, right? There's this whole, you would say, globalization, of a culture. People now worldwide, they dress the same way, right? They change in their dress, right? And then also their lifestyle, right? Lifestyle has also become like kind of like made to be one type of lifestyle, and then you have and fikriya, you have mindset, like one type of mindset, right? And then so this is specific. So this speaks about human history in general, and specifically the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in particular, right, on the day of judgment. And all of this understandings come from the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Tamam. Okay, let me see if there are any questions. Then we have the next chapter coming on, chapter 8. I'm going a bit fast because a lot of stuff I've covered before. From the beginning of the classes, I covered them. Um, now, okay, the next lesson is about the different types of sources that we read through. So, question here. Um, okay, you know what? The thing about it is that the Palestinians did not like see it was forced upon them. What happened in Palestine, right? Basically, these people they stole the land. They stole the land, right? So it was, in a sense, it was forced upon them. They rejected, right? When the UN drew up where it was going to be Israel, they rejected. They didn't accept it. They rejected, right? So it's not, like it's really it's not the same. Right? So when they allow for the refugees to come in, it's different. Okay, it's different. When they help the refugees, that is something that our religion called to, right? To help people who are in need, right? So what they did was correct in the sense that as Muslims, people come to you in need, you help them. That is Islamic, and that is Islamic, right? So we would not say they should not have done that. Any being a true Muslim, when someone comes to your door and they are in need, no matter who they are and what their religion, you help them. If they turn on you and are oppressive against you, you have done your part as a Muslim. You get it? So I would not say they shouldn't have helped the Zionists. Being Muslim, that was what they were called to help people in need. Right? But they did not give up the land. That's the biggest part. You can come into our land all you want. Like how the Ansar were with the Muhajirun. Come into our town in Medina. Come. Take half of our stuff. Take it. Let's live in peace. That was what the Palestinians wanted. You can take their land, you can take their stuff, you can take it, but don't kill me. Don't kill my family. We can share. We can share. That was what they were looking at. We can share. That's Islamic. All right? That's Islamic. Right? So it's not what you're thinking, eh? So what you're thinking is not what it is. Right? But it's basically yeah, the oppression that came. Right? So it's not the same. It's not the same. Even I think the Palestinians, to be true to the teachings of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, even if you knew someone had sinister intentions, as a Muslim, you help people when they're in need. As a Muslim, this is what we do as Muslims. We help people when we see them in need, right? Mm. That's what we do. So this is our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That is what he taught us. So I would not have seen the Palestinians do anything other than help refugees come when they came to their shores. You would not have expected anything lesser from a Muslim or from Muslims, true Muslims. But Allah is a judge and Allah is in control and the day of judgment is coming. Mm. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and allow for us. I would say that they are safe, they're safe. We are the ones in a lot of danger. Think about it. Like they are safe. They're firm on the religion, a lot of them. Like they die as shuhada, they are martyrs. We are the ones with Taylor Swift concert coming down on our shores. We're the ones, watching crap, nonsense, rubbish in Ramadan, right? They're the ones still trying to fast in Ramadan, and we're the ones, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna fast today. Can't get in the 5 times a day prayers. Think about it. Who's in the worst state? Who is in the worst state? Who's watching rubbish every day? Who's in the worst state? Right? So may Allah still give us understanding. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة من الرزق من نافع وعمل خاسئين ودل الهدى ويسر بك بنبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلى أرواح معلمينا مشايخنا وذوي الحق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.